Welcome to her Fireside Stories. Wishing you a wonderful listening experience. Imagine your own daughter too ashamed to invite you to her Mother's Day gala because you were too kind to others. After decades of raising her alone after working two jobs just to send her to college, I never thought being proud of who I am would embarrass her. But what happened next when the whole city found out my secret turned both our lives upside down? I've always loved the early morning light. The world feels quiet and gentle, like it's willing to grant a fresh start to anyone who needs it. In those first moments of dawn, I used to stand by the kitchen window sipping tea, planning my day's small tasks that gave me a sense of purpose. For nearly 70 years, I've lived in the same town. It's neither bustling nor utterly rural, but somewhere comfortably in between. The streets are lined with modest homes, each with a little front yard. Many of my neighbors moved away over the decades, replaced by new families seeking an affordable place to settle. I stayed put, though. I stayed because it was home. It was where I raised my daughter Patricia, my shining star, the little girl with big dreams. I remember how she'd run around our front yard with a tattered library book in hand, reading lines from some fantasy adventure as if she were the heroine. She had an insatiable curiosity and a hunger for success that I encouraged even when it meant sacrificing a few comforts. I worked two jobs, daytime as a hospital custodian and evening shifts at a small diner across town. Patricia's father, my husband, passed away when she was only 5. It was cancer, and we had no insurance. For years, I juggled bills, pinned coupons to the fridge, and prayed that I wouldn't keel over from exhaustion. But somehow we made it. And I always believed that through these hardships, our bond as mother and daughter grew stronger. Patricia was brilliant valedictorian of her high school class, a recipient of multiple scholarships, and eventually a graduate from a prestigious college. I used to drive my rusty old sedan to visit her on campus, ignoring the stares from her well-to-do classmates just to see that proud smile on her face. She swore she'd pay me back for everything once she built a successful career. "Mom, one day I'll buy you a beautiful house with a big porch," she always said, but life has a funny way of unraveling promises. After college, Patricia moved to a major city about 3 hours away from here. She landed a coveted position in a tech company, climbed the ladder, and soon was traveling around the world. Photos of her in Paris, Tokyo, and New York would appear on social media. She'd call occasionally, always sounding rushed, telling me she loved me, but that things were crazy busy. Those calls became less frequent as time passed. 3 months ago, Patricia phoned and said she'd come home for Mother's Day weekend. It felt like a miracle. I hadn't seen her in almost a year. She sounded excited, telling me about some big event at her office that she had to attend in our state capital. "So, why not kill two birds with one stone and drop by to see you?" she had said. I overlooked the somewhat casual phrasing and only focused on the fact that she was coming. My heart brimmed with joy. In preparation, I cleaned every corner of my little house. I cooked her favorite meals: chicken pot pie, homemade bread, and a lemon tart for dessert. I even bought a fresh tablecloth with floral prints, thinking how nice it would be for us to sit together like old times. When Patricia arrived, though, the energy felt different. She stepped out of a shiny black rental car, wearing a designer blazer and high heels that clacked on my worn porch steps. Her hair was styled in a sleek bob, and she carried herself with an air of confidence, or perhaps self-importance, that I hardly recognized. We embraced, but it was more of a polite hug than a heartfelt reunion. Inside, I led her to the kitchen, showing off the neatly set table with flowers and linen napkins. She smiled and thanked me, but she didn't sit. Instead, she glanced around, a faint look of discomfort crossing her face. "Mom," she began, slipping out of her blazer. "I hope you don't mind. I actually can't stay long. I have a cocktail reception to attend in the city tonight." My heart sank a little, but I held my composure. Of course, I said, trying to keep my voice light. I'm just happy you're here at all. We chatted for maybe half an hour, long enough for her to nibble on some bread to compliment me on my cooking. Then she checked her watch. Actually, Mom, I want to tell you something. There's an event next weekend celebrating Mother's Day at my company's local branch. It's a big gala. They asked employees to bring their mothers along, but I told them you were traveling. I blinked. Traveling, Patricia. I'm not traveling. She avoided my gaze, running a manicured finger along the edge of the tablecloth. I know it's just. You know these events are full of bigwigs, executives, investors. Everyone tries to show off. I didn't want to put you in an uncomfortable position or anything. You wouldn't enjoy it, trust me. It took a moment for her words to sink in. Was she embarrassed by me? I smiled stiffly, unsure how to respond. I see. Well, if you think that's best. Mom, it's not that I'm ashamed, she said as though reading my mind. It's just complicated. The environment is intense. I promise I'll make it up to you some other time. I nodded, swallowing the hurt. We talked a bit more, but it felt forced. Then she left, heading off in her fancy car to attend her reception. I stood at the door watching her drive away, feeling an ache in my chest. That was 3 months ago. Patricia didn't come back after that weekend. She barely even called. And now, on the actual Mother's Day, I find myself alone again, sipping tea by the window, remembering how she used to say, "One day I'll buy you a house with a big porch." Mom, I wonder if she still remembers those words. Little do I know that within just a few days, my life and Patricia's perspective will be turned upside down. Because there's something about me that even she doesn't fully understand. And soon the entire city will come to know it. Mother's Day dawns bright and clear with sunlight streaming through the curtains. My house feels quiet, the silence made more poignant by the occasion. In the past, Patricia used to wake me with a homemade card or a hand-picked bouquet of wildflowers. Now there's just the soft hum of my refrigerator and the occasional chirp of a bird outside. I try to keep busy. The best way to stave off loneliness is by tending to tasks that matter. So I put on an apron, gather fresh vegetables, and start cooking a soup that I plan to donate to the local shelter. For years now, I've volunteered there chopping onions, ladling broth, handing out sandwiches to folks who've hit tough times. There's a sense of camaraderie at the shelter. No one cares who you are or how much you earn. They care that you're present and kind. Once the soup is simmering, I set out on foot. My legs aren't as spry as they used to be, but I enjoy walking through the neighborhood. I pass by Mr. and Mrs. Holmes' house. He's watering his garden while she sits in a rocking chair with a small dog on her lap. They wave and I wave back. That's the good thing about living here. People actually notice you. It takes me 15 minutes to reach the shelter. The building is a simple one-story structure with a red door that used to squeak every time it opened until I helped fix the hinges. Inside, the volunteers greet me with smiles. They call me Miss Kathy. My name is Catherine, but I never insisted on formality. A younger volunteer, Lucy, rushes over. "Miss Kathy, you brought soup today." Awesome. She lifts the lid and inhales. Wow, that smells divine. Thank you so much. I feel a small flush of pride. I'm happy to help. I'll be in the kitchen if you need me. Before I can make my way there, a tall figure in a neat suit appears in the doorway. "Excuse me?" he says, politely scanning the room. He looks slightly out of place with his crisp shirt and tie. "I'm looking for Catherine Evans." My heart skips. It's unusual for anyone to come to the shelter. Seeking me by name, I wipe my hands on my apron and approach him. "I'm Catherine Evans. How can I help you?" He smiles, extending a business card. "My name is Michael Harrison. I'm a reporter with the City Chronicle. We've been doing a series of profiles on local volunteers and unsung heroes. Your name came up more than once." My cheeks warm. "Me? That can't be right. I'm just a volunteer like anyone else. He chuckles. According to several people I've spoken to, you're not just anything. You've been volunteering here for years at the hospital and other community programs. They say you're a fixture of kindness in this town. I feel a wave of embarrassment. I'm flattered, but truly, there are many more deserving folks. He shakes his head, pulling out a small notebook. I'd love to do a short feature on you for the Chronicle. It won't take much of your time, just an interview, maybe a photograph. I hesitate, not wanting any fuzz. I suppose if it helps the shelter or the community. Michael smiles broadly. Absolutely. Our series aims to highlight community pillars, people who make a difference without expecting recognition. It might inspire others to volunteer. His enthusiasm is contagious, and I nod. All right, let me finish up in the kitchen and we can talk. An hour later, after the lunch service is done, we sit in a small corner of the shelter's rec room. Michael flips through his notebook, asking me questions about my background, how I became involved in volunteer work, what motivates me, and so on. I answer as best I can, always trying to steer the conversation back to the shelter's needs or the dedicated staff who do so much more than I do. He presses gently, wanting to know about my personal life. So do you have any family here in town? My heart twinges. No, my husband passed away years ago, my daughter. Well, she lives in the city. She's very busy, I see. Does she visit often? I force a small smile. She has her own life now, it's fine, sensing my discomfort. Michael shifts back to the topic of the shelter. When the interview concludes, he thanks me profusely. We'll run this in next Sunday's paper, maybe earlier. I'd love to include a photo, if you don't mind. Reluctantly, I agree. A quick snapshot is taken of me in my apron, standing by the big soup pot. My hair is a little messy, but Michael insists it's perfect for the real human angle of the story. As he packs up to leave, he smiles. Miss Kathy, I have a feeling you're more remarkable than you realize. I wave off the compliment, then return to my kitchen duties. All the while, a small, uneasy feeling settles in my chest. Patricia never liked attention or anything that reminded her of our humble background. I wonder if she'll see the article. If she does, will it annoy her or make her proud, pushing aside the worry? I focus on chopping carrots. A volunteer's job is never done, and that's how I like it. Little do I know this article will be just the beginning of a storm that will soon engulf my daughter's carefully curated world. Days slip by quietly. I return home each evening to my small, cozy living room, my crocheted blankets, my collection of well-worn novels. Patricia doesn't call, but I tell myself she's busy. A mantra I've repeated for the past few years. One sunny afternoon while watering my geraniums, the local newspaper lands with a soft thud on my porch. This is a routine delivery. I've subscribed for decades, but the moment I pick it up, my heart leaps. There on the front page of the local section is a headline, Unsung Hero of Our Community Meet Catherine Evans. A smaller photo of me at the shelter accompanies the article. I skim it quickly, my hands trembling. Michael Harrison wrote about my volunteer work, my hospital job from years back, and even a mention of how I'd once organized a neighborhood fundraiser to rebuild a neighbor's home after a fire. The piece is glowing almost embarrassingly so. Part of me is flattered, but another part grows apprehensive. This is more exposure than I'm comfortable with. Within minutes, my phone rings, a neighbor wanting to congratulate me. Then a few text messages ping in from old friends praising the article. Later that day, while I'm reorganizing a closet, I get a call from a number I don't recognize. Hello, I answer cautiously. Mom. The voice is unmistakably Patricia's. My heart skips, Patricia. It's so good to hear from you. She hesitates. Yes, well, I read the article. Some coworkers sent it to me. It's been shared on social media. They recognized our last name. My throat tightens. Oh, I just wish you had told me. Everyone in my office is talking about it now, and they're also wondering why I never mentioned you volunteer so much. I furrow my brow. It all happened so fast, sweetheart. The reporter came to the shelter, wanted to highlight the volunteers. I didn't think it was a big deal, she sighs. It's just complicated. My colleagues are all about status and image. They saw your photo and the article describing how you've been scraping by all these years. They keep asking me questions like why I never bring you around. It's embarrassing, Mom. Something inside me twists painfully. Embarrassing? Why would helping people be embarrassing? You don't understand, she snaps. These social circles judge everything: where you live, where you vacation, how you dress, and yes, even your parents. Now they're labeling me as the girl whose mother is a charity case. My pulse thunders in my ears. Patricia, I'm not a charity case. I volunteer to help people, she groans. I know that, but they don't see it that way. They see an old lady in an apron dishing out soup, someone who probably never advanced beyond menial jobs. It's humiliating. Couldn't you have just kept a low profile? I gripped the phone, my voice shaking. I never sought publicity. It found me, and I won't apologize for caring about my community. There's a tense pause. Finally, Patricia exhales. Look, I just called to let you know that we're having a big corporate Mother's Day gala tomorrow. I'm sure people will ask more about you. It's too late to pretend you're off traveling now. But could you just avoid talking to reporters again? Maybe keep your story subdued. A numbness spreads through me. Is that what you want from me? To hide who I am so you can avoid judgment from your coworkers? She says nothing, which speaks volumes. I swallow hard. All right, Patricia. If you don't want me to talk, I won't. I don't want to cause you trouble. Thank you, she mumbles. I'll call you later. The line goes dead before I can respond. I stand there, phone in hand, staring at the wallpaper of my hallway, a faded floral pattern that's been up since the 70s. Suddenly, it feels claustrophobic. For a moment, I consider the ridiculousness of it all. My daughter is ashamed that I volunteer in a soup kitchen, ashamed that I'm not wealthy or glamorous. Once upon a time, she looked up to me as the strongest woman she knew, a mother who overcame adversity. Now she sees me as an inconvenience. I wander into the living room, sinking onto the couch. My eyes drift to a framed picture of Patricia as a child, grinning while holding up a homemade Mother's Day card. That day, she and I had baked cupcakes together, turning the kitchen into a war zone of flour and sprinkles. She was so proud of her creation. Where did that cheerful little girl go? A tear slides down my cheek. I brush it away, unwilling to wallow. If Patricia thinks she's going to muzzle me, she's mistaken. I won't seek out attention, but I also won't pretend to be someone I'm not. In a couple of days, events will escalate in ways neither of us can predict. Because there's a part of my past, a secret I never trumpeted to the world, that's about to surface. And when it does, the entire city, including Patricia's flashy coworkers, will have a very different perspective on who I am. Have you ever felt pressured by family or friends to hide something about your life that you're proud of? How did you handle it? Share your thoughts below. Mother's Day comes and goes quietly for me. The day after, I drift back into my volunteer routine, hoping the frenzy around the newspaper article will die down. However, fate has other plans. On a bright Tuesday morning, I'm at the grocery store, examining a pile of tomatoes when someone taps my shoulder. It's a woman in her 40s, stylishly dressed, her eyes bright with curiosity. You're Catherine Evans, right? The lady from the paper, she asks. Her tone excited. I nod warily. Yes, I am, she beams. I just want to say how inspiring your story is. My husband and I have been thinking of volunteering at the shelter, and after reading about you, we're finally going to do it. Thank you so much for being a role model. A flush creeps across my cheeks. That's very kind of you. The shelter can always use helping hands. She thanks me again and heads off. Moments later, an older gentleman approaches with the same warm appreciation. It seems the article sparked a ripple effect in the community, galvanizing people into action. I feel a swirl of conflicting emotions. On one hand, I'm touched that my volunteering resonates with others. On the other, I remember Patricia's angry words telling me to stay quiet. She doesn't want me to ruin her polished image with my menial pursuits. That evening, I returned to find 3 voicemails on my landline. 2 are from local organizations inviting me to speak at small community events. Another is from Michael Harrison, the reporter saying that a local radio station wants to interview me. My heart tugs in 2 directions. Part of me wants to remain anonymous and preserve my simple life, but another part wonders if sharing my story could do good for the causes I care about. I wait until the next day to decide. As I'm mulling it over, a phone call comes from an unexpected source, the city's mayor's office. I nearly drop the receiver when the assistant on the line says, "The mayor would like to award you a special commendation for your contributions to the community. We're organizing a small ceremony next week. Would you be available?" I can hardly speak. A commendation from the mayor. This must be some kind of mix-up, but the assistant insists it's real. "We've learned you've donated thousands of volunteer hours over the years. People in our city adore you, Mrs. Evans. We'd love to recognize that." Once I hang up, I slump into the nearest chair, my mind spinning. How will Patricia react to this news? She's already on edge about my local notoriety, but how can I say no to a mayoral commendation? It's not about personal glory. It's about shining a light on volunteering, potentially securing more aid for the shelter and the hospital. Swallowing hard, I accept the invitation. That night, I call Patricia. Predictably, I reach her voicemail. I leave a message letting her know about the mayor's commendation ceremony, hoping she'll be proud, or at least not furious. Over the next few days, I receive a whirlwind of calls and emails about the ceremony. The mayor's office asks for a short biography, and I type it up, mentioning my decades of volunteer work, my simple life. The fact that I started volunteering after my husband's death left me seeking a sense of purpose. I don't mention Patricia's career or her success. I keep the focus on myself. It feels strange writing about who I am as if I'm crafting a personal resume to be publicly displayed. 2 days before the ceremony, I'm at the hospital's administrative office, dropping off some paperwork for a fund we're launching to help uninsured patients, when I see a large poster pinned to the bulletin board, "Seeking Volunteers Blood Donation and Organ Donation Drive." The words spark memories I keep tucked away. Decades ago, I was part of a very special program. A hush of old emotions swirls within me. It's not something I ever discussed openly, not even with Patricia, but I remember that time well. A time when I gave more than just hours of my day or money from my wallet. A time when I gave an actual part of myself to save a life. Before I can slip down the corridor, Dr. Margulies, an old acquaintance, recognizes me. "Catherine, perfect timing. We're doing a donor appreciation slideshow next week. Your name is on that list from, must be 30 years ago." My breath hitches. "Oh, yes, that. You were a living donor, if I recall correctly." He prods gently. I offer a small nod. "Yes. I donated a kidney to a stranger back then. Didn't want any fuss about it." His expression softens with admiration. "That's extraordinary, Catherine. You never mentioned it to anyone." I shrug, feeling a familiar tingle of embarrassment. "I believed you should do good quietly, not broadcast it. Besides, the patient was a young father who needed that kidney. I was a match, so I did what felt right." Dr. Margulies smiles. "Well, it's time the world knew. We'd love to include your photo and name in our donor tribute next week. Will you allow that?" My mind whirls. Patricia already thinks my volunteering is too much visibility. How would she react if the city found out I was once an organ donor? But something in me steals. Maybe it's time I stop hiding the good. I've done just because my daughter is worried about superficial judgments. Tentatively, I agree. All right, if it helps the donor drive, I'll do it. Little do I know this simple yes will unravel a chain of events that will bring my name and my sacrifice into the public eye in a big way. And in the process, it might just turn my daughter's world upside down. The day of the mayor's commendation ceremony arrives. I'm unusually nervous, my stomach fluttering as if I'm about to step on a stage for the first time. The venue is a modest auditorium attached to City Hall. A podium stands at the front, flanked by flags, and a small banner reading Honoring Community Heroes. When I step into the lobby, I'm met with applause from a small group of people I recognize. Volunteers from the shelter, a couple of nurses from the hospital, even neighbors from down the street. They greet me warmly, telling me I deserve this moment. My face flushes under the praise. Before I can catch my breath, the mayor herself, a poised woman in a navy blazer, appears by my side. Mrs. Evans, I'm so glad you could make it. Thank you for everything you've done for our city. I stammer a polite response, still feeling out of place. I spot a few local reporters milling about, adjusting cameras. My eyes scan for Patricia, hoping beyond hope that she might have decided to surprise me by attending. But she's not here. As the ceremony begins, I sit among a handful of other community honorees, a retired teacher, a youth mentor, and a local firefighter who recently saved a family from a burning building. Each of them has an impressive story that's shared to the audience. When it's my turn, the mayor introduces me as a dedicated volunteer for multiple causes, embodying the true spirit of compassion. Walking onto the stage, I feel a mixture of pride and discomfort. Pride because I do believe in the causes I serve. Discomfort because I never wanted a spotlight, but the applause that greets me is genuine and warm. The mayor hands me a certificate, then invites me to say a few words. I approach the microphone, scanning the modest crowd. Thank you, I begin softly. I'm honored to be recognized, though I believe there are so many others in this city who do amazing work every single day. I started volunteering simply because, well, when you lose someone dear to you, you realize how short life is, and maybe the best way to honor life is to help others whenever you can. That's all I've tried to do. My voice trembles at the end, remembering my late husband, the quiet nights I spent wrestling with grief, and how volunteering became my lifeline. The audience claps again. I step away from the podium, my cheeks burning. After the ceremony, a few reporters ask for quick interviews. I answer politely, keeping my answers brief. One of them is a young woman from a local TV station. Mrs. Evans, how does it feel to be recognized by the mayor? I swallow. It's humbling. I just hope this inspires more people to volunteer or donate. Even small acts of kindness can make a huge difference. She nods. We've also heard rumors that you're a living kidney donor from many years ago. Is that true? My heart stutters. Word travels fast, apparently. I glance around, noticing some folks leaning in to listen. I clear my throat. Yes, that was a long time ago. I never intended to keep it a secret, but I didn't exactly advertise it. The reporter's eyes shine. That's incredible, Mrs. Evans. Would you be willing to share that story? We're doing a feature on organ donation next week. A wave of unease washes over me. Still, I remind myself that the hospital is holding a drive, and sharing my story could encourage others. I suppose so, I say quietly. She smiles, handing me her card and promises to follow up. By the time I gather my things, I'm bombarded with well wishes from new admirers. My mind spins. This is more attention than I ever dreamed of, and I can't help but think about Patricia's reaction. Sure enough, the next morning she calls me this time, her voice shaking with anger. Mom, I heard you've gone public about donating your kidney. Now everyone at my office is talking about it, asking if you're the same Catherine Evans. They keep telling me how amazing you are and how it's shocking that I never bring you up. I grip the phone tighter. Patricia, calm down. Isn't it a good thing that people see me in a positive light? It might encourage them to donate or volunteer. She huffs. No, you don't get it. They think I'm some ungrateful daughter who's been hiding her mother's accomplishments. My boss actually said, Your mother is a hero. Why haven't we met her at any of our events? I'm humiliated, Mom. My irritation flares. You're humiliated because they found out I donated an organ to save a life. Patricia, do you hear yourself? She stammers. That's not. I just mean it's all so sudden and forget it. Look, I have clients to meet. Just please, no more interviews. Okay. She hangs up abruptly. I stare at the phone, a jumble of emotions swirling, anger, disappointment, pity for her. She's let vanity and fear of judgment overshadow compassion for others. Over the next few days, the story of my commendation and my living donor status gains traction in local media. I even get invited to a morning radio show. Patricia's frustration grows in tandem. She sends me texts urging me to keep a low profile. But the more I try to lie low, the more requests flood in. Apparently, stories about quiet heroes resonate deeply with the public. I'm caught between wanting to respect my daughter's concerns and acknowledging that my experiences might genuinely help people, raising awareness and driving support for organ donation or volunteering. Why should I shy away from sharing something that can spark positive change? Soon, a much bigger opportunity will present itself, one that will force Patricia to confront her own insecurities before the entire city. And by then, it'll be far too late for her to hide her mother from the world. Early Monday morning, I hear a familiar knock-knock on my door. Opening it, I find Michael Harrison, the reporter from the City Chronicle, standing with a camera slung around his neck. This time, he has a broad grin on his face. Mrs. Evans, how are you? He says, stepping onto my porch. I hope I'm not bothering you so early. Not at all, I say, though I'm puzzled by his visit. What brings you here? He takes a breath, his excitement palpable. I have a proposition. My editor wants to do a special feature on unsung community heroes, like a short documentary. We'd love to center it around you and a few other people. Mostly, we'd follow you around for a day. Interview people you've helped highlight your organ donation story, things like that. I blink, taken aback. A documentary? I'm not sure I'm the right person for such a thing. He chuckles. You keep saying that, but the public is fascinated by your humble approach to good deeds. Since the mayor's commendation and news of your kidney donation broke, interest has skyrocketed. My mind whirls. Patricia's face flashes in my thoughts. Her anger, her embarrassment. You realize my daughter hates all this attention, I say quietly, stepping onto the porch to close the door behind me. Michael's expression softens. I understand, but we're hoping to focus on you, your community work and your personal journey, less on your daughter's corporate world. Of course, if she wants to comment, we'd welcome it, but it's totally up to you. I stare at my worn porch steps, remembering the vow I once made to myself, never to boast about my efforts, but perhaps I'm no longer boasting. Maybe I'm just letting others see that ordinary people can make an extraordinary impact. Could this documentary encourage even more folks to step up and volunteer? I'll think about it, I say finally. Michael nods. Sure, let me give you my direct contact. If you decide to go ahead, we can start filming next week. After he leaves, I make a cup of tea sitting at my kitchen table to mull over the idea. My phone pings with a text from Patricia. Heard from my boss that they saw you on local TV again. I really wish you'd stop. This is all so awkward for me. I'm drowning in questions about why we never do mother-daughter events. Mom, can't you just say no to the press? Please, I sigh, rubbing my temples. She's drowning in questions. I'm drowning in guilt. But should I let my daughter's insecurities suppress a chance to do good? A few days pass and the hospital's organ donor tribute event arrives. It's a small gathering in the hospital auditorium to honor living donors, highlight success stories, and encourage new donors to step forward. I attend with the intention of sitting quietly in the back. However, Dr. Margulies spots me, quickly ushers me to the front row, and then invites me on stage to share a few words. Standing at the podium, I see a crowd of doctors, nurses, patients, and families whose lives have been touched by transplants. My voice quavers as I recall the day I found out I was a perfect match for a stranger who was on the brink of losing everything. I remember thinking, if I could save a father's life, help a child keep their dad, then how could I not do it? Tears glisten in several eyes around the room. A father of two who'd received a kidney transplant from another living donor comes up to me afterward, hugging me with heartfelt gratitude, even though I wasn't his donor. The bond among donors and recipients is something special, transcending direct links. During this emotional moment, flashbulbs go off. A reporter from a local station is filming. By evening, the footage is online, accompanied by a headline, "Local Woman Honored as Selfless Organ Donor," inspiring families at hospital tribute. It quickly garners thousands of views and shares. People flood the comments praising me as a hero. My phone buzzes incessantly with calls and texts, some from well-wishers, others from news outlets wanting follow-up interviews. Patricia's text arrives like a slap. "This is out of control. Everyone at work keeps comparing me to you, saying I should be more open about my background. Mom, you're ruining my image. Just stop." My hands tremble with frustration. I try calling her, but she doesn't pick up. My voicemail is shaky. "Patricia, I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm doing it because it matters. Please call me back." Days slip by without a response. I learned through a mutual friend that Patricia's company is hosting a massive investor conference in a week, some big gala with top executives. Rumor has it that word of me has spread among her circle, and they're curious to meet the so-called hero mother. Instead of pride, Patricia feels cornered, singled out. I wrestle with guilt, but an equal measure of resolve settles in my chest. I can't bury my experiences anymore just because my daughter's coworkers might judge her. At some point, Patricia needs to face the fact that I am who I am, and I won't apologize for it. Little do I realize the documentary Michael Harrison proposed will soon intersect with Patricia's world in an unexpected and very public way, forcing both of us to confront what it truly means to be proud of who you are. A week later, I decide to give Michael Harrison a call. After much soul searching and no word from Patricia, I conclude that I can't turn down a chance to inspire others, especially if it benefits the hospital's donor drive or the shelter's volunteer programs. He's thrilled to hear from me, and we arrange to film a small segment 2 days later. True to his promise, Michael keeps the focus on my daily routine, visiting the shelter, chatting with neighbors, and by my request, highlighting the people around me who also do so much. The filming feels surreal. A small crew follows me around the neighborhood with a camera and microphone asking questions like, "How did you start volunteering?" Or "What advice would you give someone who wants to help but feels they don't have enough to give?" I answer honestly, feeling a bit awkward but determined to emphasize the importance of community effort. Halfway through the day, we take a break at a local cafe. Michael sips his coffee and says, "Catherine, have you heard about the big investor conference next week at the City View Hotel? The rumor is they're inviting local philanthropists to a charity segment." I freeze. The City View Hotel is the same venue Patricia's company is using for their grand investor event. I heard about it from some mutual contacts, but I'm not sure of the details. He leans forward, lowering his voice. "Well, I've got a tip that the conference organizers plan to highlight some local community figures during a special luncheon, maybe to impress potential investors with the city's philanthropic spirit. Your name came up. Would you be open to attending if they officially invited you?" My stomach twists. If Patricia's firm is involved, she'll be there in her professional capacity. How will she react if I show up as a featured local figure, yet a small spark of resolve flares? If it's for a good cause, raising funds for the shelter or the hospital, I'd consider it, I say, though my pulse pounds with anxiety. A few days later, the official invitation arrives. A crisp envelope with fancy lettering states, "We cordially invite Catherine Evans to our charity luncheon at the City View Investor Conference." A note adds that they'd like me to speak briefly about my volunteer work and organ donor experience. I stare at the invitation for a long time, recalling Patricia's desperate pleas for me to remain invisible. But something in me refuses to hide. This city has shown me kindness, and if my presence at this luncheon can spark more donations or volunteer support, how can I say no? I accept the invite. Michael gets wind of it and asks if his small documentary crew can capture footage of me at the event. It would be a powerful culminating scene for the piece we're doing, he explains. I agree, albeit nervously. The day of the investor conference arrives with a crackle of tension. The City View Hotel is a sleek modern building with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river. My humble reflection stares back at me as I cross the lobby feeling like a fish out of water. Among the polished suits and designer dresses, I wear my best outfit, a simple navy dress and a cardigan with low-heeled shoes. The grand ballroom is alive with chatter. Corporate banners and sponsor logos decorate the walls. I see small clusters of men and women in formal attire, sipping champagne, discussing stock portfolios and technology breakthroughs. A staffer leads me to a reserved seat near the stage. My heart thunders. The charity luncheon portion is scheduled to begin in half an hour, and the seat next to mine bears a name placard for someone I don't recognize. I scan the crowd for Patricia, but there are too many people. Eventually, the program starts. A podium stands at the front, and a well-groomed MC welcomes everyone to the Philanthropy in Business session. After a few presentations from local nonprofits, the MC announces, "We have a special guest today, an inspiring woman who has quietly shaped our community through countless hours of volunteering and even saved a life through organ donation. Please welcome Catherine Evans." Applause fills the room. I force a calm smile, rise and step onto the stage. Bright lights dazzle my eyes, my cheeks warm under the attention, but I remind myself this is bigger than me. I speak into the microphone, my voice trembling at first. I share briefly how volunteering began as a way to cope with loss, how donating a kidney taught me the depth of human connection. I emphasize that countless others do similar acts of kindness every day, and they deserve recognition too. Scanning the audience, I spot Michael's camera crew filming, and then I see her, Patricia, standing near the back in a sleek black business suit. Her eyes lock on mine, her expression unreadable. My heart clenches. I press on, finishing my speech amid polite applause. When I step off stage, the MC guides me to a panel table. I catch a glimpse of Patricia weaving through the crowd, her face flushed. She reaches me just as I take my seat. "Mom," she hisses under her breath, "why didn't you tell me you'd be here?" I manage a tight smile. "I tried calling. You never answered." She looks away, color rising in her cheeks. This is so awkward. Everyone here is watching me, wondering why I've never introduced them to my amazing mother. Before I can respond, the panel Q&A begins. A business leader on the other end of the table speaks about corporate philanthropy. Then the moderator invites me to chime in. Steadying my nerves, I talk about how real community growth depends on compassion, not just monetary donations, but personal involvement, showing up where you're needed. I mention the hospital's organ donation drive, describing how a single decision can ripple outward to save families. The applause is stronger this time, accompanied by a few approving whistles. As the session ends, several attendees approach me, handing out business cards, praising my humility. Patricia stands off to the side, looking torn between pride and mortification. Michael and his crew capture everything on camera, including the moment I finally approach Patricia, my heart in my throat. The city is about to witness a mother and daughter confrontation that will test the limits of both shame and love. In the buzzing aftermath of the panel, a small crowd surrounds me asking questions about volunteering or how they can donate to the hospital. I do my best to answer politely, grateful for their interest. Still, my gaze keeps drifting to Patricia, who lingers by a potted plant, arms crossed. Eventually, the crowd disperses enough for me to reach her. She looks polished and professional as always, but there's a tightness around her mouth. "You didn't respond to my calls," I say softly, feeling an ache in my chest. She shrugs, avoiding my gaze. "I've been swamped with work." I swallow back the retort that wants to leap from my tongue. This isn't the place for a shouting match. "Let's step outside," I suggest. We exit through a side door into a quieter hallway leading to the hotel's courtyard. The hush is tangible, a stark contrast to the lively event inside. Sunlight filters through glass panels illuminating Patricia's face. She spins to face me. "Mom, this is exactly what I was afraid of. My boss just asked why I never mentioned having such an incredible mother. Clients are asking if we can partner with your charities for PR opportunities. My coworkers are gossiping, saying I must be ashamed of you." A pang goes through me. "Are you?" I ask, my voice trembling. "Ashamed," she falters. I didn't want them prying into our personal lives, making assumptions about our finances or how we grew up. I've worked so hard to climb the corporate ladder, Mom. These people are ruthless. They'll latch onto any personal story twisted. And yes, they might see you as a hero, but they'll also see me as some ungrateful daughter who never bothered to help her own mother. I can't handle that scrutiny. Tears prick at my eyes, but I blink them away. "So, you'd rather I hide who I am?" She exhales sharply. "It's not about hiding, it's about context. Why does everyone have to know that you donated a kidney or volunteer in soup kitchens or that we had to scrape by for years? This is my career we're talking about." I draw myself upright, old anger and fresh hurt mingling in my chest. "Patricia, I spent my life sacrificing to give you every opportunity. I'm not asking you to flaunt me, but I won't pretend I'm someone else just to make you more comfortable. If my story can help even one person, then it's worth it." She stares at me, lips parted, but no words come out. In that silence, we both realize how far we've drifted from each other. The lively mother-daughter bond that once was replaced by uneasy distance, suddenly footsteps echo behind us. It's Michael, camera crew in tow, looking hesitant. "Catherine, we're about to wrap filming. We wanted a quick closing shot, if that's okay?" Patricia's eyes widen, and she clutches my arm. "Please, Mom," she whispers. "Not here, not now." I hesitate, torn between her plea and my own convictions. Then I let out a weary sigh, turning to Michael. "Give us a minute, okay?" He nods, backing away politely. Patricia runs a shaky hand through her hair. "If that footage airs my coworkers, they'll see me struggling with you. They'll know how messed up our relationship is." "Maybe it's time they see the truth," I say gently. "Maybe it's time we face the truth we've grown apart. But we can still fix it if we try." Her shoulders slump. "How, Mom? You're basically a local celebrity now, and I'm the daughter who never acknowledged you. Everyone's judging me, and I feel so guilty." My heart softens at her admission. "Patricia, the only judgment that matters is between us. If you feel guilty, ask yourself why. Is it because you truly value what I do, but were afraid to celebrate it? Or is it just embarrassment at being caught?" She tears up, and for a moment I see the vulnerable little girl she once was. "I don't know," she mutters, her voice trembling. "I guess I'm proud of you." But I was scared people would think I came from nothing, that it would tarnish my professional image. Now that everyone admires you, it's like I'm the one left behind. I pull her into a hug, feeling her stiffen, then slowly relax. Sweetheart, you came from love, from resilience, from kindness. That's not nothing. She sniffles, burying her face in my shoulder. I'm sorry, Mom. We stand there for a moment silent, except for the faint hum of air conditioning. It's not a perfect reconciliation. We have a lot of healing to do. But it's a start. Michael peeks around the corner, mouthing, Are you ready? I nod at Patricia. Would you like to be part of this last shot? You don't have to talk. Just stand with me. Show we're in this together. She hesitates, then nods, eyes still glistening. Okay, we return to the corridor where Michael positions the camera. He gently instructs me to say a closing statement for the documentary. I clear my throat, Patricia at my side, and speak. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that no act of kindness is ever wasted. Whether it's volunteering at a shelter, donating an organ, or simply showing compassion to someone in need, everything we do has a ripple effect. I'm grateful to have had the chance to help in my small way, and I hope others will be inspired to do the same. Michael lowers the camera. Smiling, Patricia squeezes my hand tentatively. For the first time in a long while, I feel like we've taken a real step toward understanding each other. A week after the investor conference, life feels oddly calmer. Michael Harrison's documentary airs on the local television station and online platforms, titled A Heart for the Community, The Katherine Evans Story. It's surprisingly well produced for a local piece, complete with interviews from shelter staff, old friends, and even a short cameo from Patricia. The reaction is overwhelmingly positive. People across the city and even beyond share comments about how they've been motivated to donate, volunteer, or simply show kindness to strangers. Donations to the hospital's organ donor drive spike. The shelter receives more volunteers than ever before. While this wave of enthusiasm lifts my spirits, I remain cautious about the effect on Patricia. She's busy with her job, but I sense a change in her. She actually calls me every few days now, even if just to chat or ask how I'm doing. It feels tentative, like we're relearning how to be mother and daughter. One evening, she shows up unexpectedly at my doorstep with a takeout bag. I thought we could have dinner, she says, offering a shy smile. I welcome her in, heart fluttering with hope. We eat at the small kitchen table just like we did when she was growing up. She compliments my crocheted blanket draped over a chair, and I tease her about how it's older than she is. For a moment, it's as if we've turned back the clock to a simpler time. Eventually, she sets her fork down and meets my gaze. Mom, I want to talk about something. She begins, her eyes earnest. I realize now that I've been dismissive of everything you've done because I was worried about other people's judgments. That was wrong. My throat tightens. It means a lot to hear you say that, Patricia. She continues, after the documentary aired, people at work didn't mock me. They admired you. My boss said, you must be proud to have such a selfless mother. And I realized that maybe I am proud. I was just too stubborn to see it. My chest warms. I'm proud of you too, sweetheart, for building the life you wanted. I never wanted to take that from you. She reaches across the table, her hand trembling a little. I know, and I want to help the causes you care about. Maybe we can organize a fundraiser with my company. Would you let me do that? Tears prick my eyes. Of course, that would be wonderful. We talk for hours about her idea to launch a corporate volunteer day at the shelter, about how they could sponsor a few hospital beds for underprivileged patients. It's like a dam has broken inside her, unleashing a flood of compassion she once kept hidden. Over the following month, Patricia's company announces a new community impact initiative, partnering with local nonprofits. She spearheads the project, invites me to speak at their kickoff event. Instead of ignoring or denying me, she publicly introduces me as her mother, a community volunteer and a living donor who set an example I want all of us to follow. As I step on stage that day, the applause is thunderous. Patricia stands by me smiling. I can't help but blink back tears thinking how drastically things have changed from that tense phone call months ago, where she told me to keep my head down. In the weeks to come, the city buzzes with new energy. The hospital announces they've registered a record number of organ donors. The shelter has expanded its meal services thanks to increased funding, and in the midst of this positive change, Patricia and I mend our relationship bit by bit, building trust through honest conversations and shared goals. One sunny afternoon, Michael Harrison drops by my house with a small gift, a DVD of the documentary, along with a link to its online version that's garnered thousands of views. "You should have a keepsake," he says, handing it to me. I smile, touched. "Thank you, Michael. I never expected all this, but I'm glad it happened." He grins. "Thank you for letting me tell your story. It's made a bigger impact than you realize." After he leaves, I notice Patricia's car parked out front. She steps out carrying a pot of fresh geraniums. "My favorite. I thought these would look nice on your porch," she says. We plant them together, hands in the soil, the warm sun on our backs. It feels symbolic, nurturing new life and letting old wounds heal under the open sky. When we finish, she stands up, brushes dirt from her slacks. "Mom, do you think Dad would be proud of us?" My eyes mist. I'd like to believe so. "He always wanted you to grow into a strong, caring woman." She gives a small nod, tears glistening. Then she hugs me, a real hug, the kind that doesn't hold back. "I love you, Mom," she whispers. I hug her back, heart full. "I love you too, Patricia, always." And so, our story comes to a peaceful juncture. It's not a neat fairy tale ending. Life never is. But we've found common ground bridging the gap between her corporate ambitions and my quiet devotion to community. And in doing so, we've discovered that love and respect aren't defined by wealth or status, but by empathy, acceptance, and the willingness to stand by each other's side, even when the world is watching. I may be the mother who once walked in frayed sneakers to two different jobs, but to this city and now to my daughter, I've become something more. A reminder that kindness, no matter how unglamorous, holds the power to transform hearts. Do you think Patricia and her mother will continue to grow closer, or might old habits resurface? Share your opinion and experiences below. Thank you so much for listening to today's story here on her Fireside Stories. Catherine's journey shows us that sometimes the quietest heroes have the loudest impacts, and that it's never too late to rebuild bridges and embrace what truly matters. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think Patricia and her mother will continue to grow closer, or will old habits resurface? Drop your opinions and personal experiences in the comments below, and let me know where you listen from today. I always love hearing from our global Fireside community. If you enjoyed today's story, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share this video with your friends and family. Your support truly makes a difference, helping our channel grow and bringing even more wonderful stories your way. Until next time, take care, stay warm by your own fireside, and I'll see you again soon, right here at Her Fireside Stories.